Good morning, all. Suburban Sentinel here, coming to you once again from very deep inside the Arabian Peninsula. Welcome back to our mini-series on avoiding injury. Now, as a prepper, it is critical for you to do the best you can to avoid injury during an emergency type situation. We've already looked at a primary means of avoiding injury, and that is maintaining focus, or in other words, being where your feet are. Keep your mind on what you're doing. Today, let's go a little deeper into the subject. And of course, it is very important to avoid injury. Right? As a prepper, chances are you are the provider, protector, and a primary source of comfort and security for your family. If you're injured, your roles in doing so might be compromised, or even worse, you might become a burden on your family. So let's get on with part 2. Physical conditioning. Now, this can be a pretty big issue, particularly for those of us who are a little bit long in the tooth and who have more sedentary type jobs or professions. But physical conditioning is important, and what I mean by conditioning is endurance, strength, and flexibility. In an SHTF type scenario or other long-term emergencies, we might not have the modern conveniences, the machinery, and the electronics we're used to complete ordinary tasks, or the nature of our tasks might change. For example, rather than turning the thermostat up and having the natural gas come on or the oil burner come on, we might have to chop our own wood. If there is an SHTF type scenario and you are forced to change the nature of the work that you do and your body is not at all conditioned for it, there is a much greater risk of being injured. And of course, we don't want that. So what can we as preppers do? Well, a lot of people go to the gym, and that's great. However, I am not convinced that most people's routines at the gym work all of the necessary muscles and get the flexibility we need in the joints we might be called upon to use for different things like chopping wood or carrying things or fixing things yourself in the event of an SHTF scenario. Now, I'm not an expert on that. I'm not a big exercise fanatic, thank God. But I do know a lot of people that spend a fair amount of time at the gym. I call them gym rats, and that's just kind of a joke. But these people are serious about it, and again, I'm not an expert. From what I've seen, yes, they look really good, and I think in a lot of areas they are strong and they have a lot of endurance. But I don't believe that they're getting the full body workout necessary to have all the muscles, the flexibility, and the endurance to do things like chop wood for a full day. Rather than going to the gym, I try to do physical activities that are either identical to or closely mimic the type of labor we might be called upon to perform during an SHTF scenario. So, for example, every drop of water my wife and I use for drinking and cooking, I carry up 4 flights of stairs. At work, I park at least 3/4 of a mile away from the entrance to my building, and instead of wearing dress shoes or lightweight boots, I'll wear steel-toed boots, and I'll carry a heavy satchel into my office, and then during the day, I'll keep carrying the satchel even if I don't really need it, back and forth. So I'm probably doing a couple of miles a day inside the building, plus walking a pretty far distance back and forth to the car. I also try to do long walks out in the blazing sun here. I would prefer to chop wood, but that's just not a possibility here. So I tend to take long walks wearing steel-toed boots and carrying fairly heavy weights in the blazing sun. And that is pretty strenuous physical activity, particularly for someone of my somewhat advanced years. So there you have it. As a prepper, you want to avoid injury, and to do so, one of the things you can do is condition your body to manual labor. Keep moving and keep doing. And that's all I'll say on this part of the subject. In our next section of the mini-series, we'll delve a little further into other means of avoiding injury. Thanks for watching. This is the Suburban Sentinel. Please thumbs up, share, and subscribe if you like what you see. Questions, enlightening comments, and differing opinions are always welcome. Prep and be safe, everybody.